Hey there, it's Michelle, and just so grateful to be here. Today is day number 12. Yes, day number 12 of the Leader of One project preparation. Yes, yes, and yes. 18 more days to get it in gear, get some things done that I've been needing to get done, and I am in the thick of it. So I want to just say thank you for everybody who is supporting, everybody who might be watching, everybody who might be joining me. This has been amazing. We're coming up on almost 2 weeks of doing this, and I don't know about you, but I'm feeling it. Ooh, I'm feeling it. Today, I'm calling this Fight For It. And the reason why I'm calling it Fight For It is because I am having to work a little bit of reminding myself the little things. You know, it's those little foxes. Hey, Alina, how you doing? Those little things that I am endeavoring to change. You know, I talk about rituals and routines and all that kind of stuff. So like some of my micro commitments, I had forgotten, to do a few of my little exercise hacks this morning, with, for those of you who have been following me, some of the things I do to kind of like hack my day of making sure that I'm taking care of the temple is when I go to the restroom after I'm done, I do my squats and some planks. And on certain days, I do kettlebells. I was like going and it just forgot about them today. And I was like, now, wait a minute. I've been doing these. How can I forget? And so, I had to realize that even though I say I'm going to do something, even though I say I'm going to be committed to this, because this is our whole week of commitment, people. I mean, doing what you said you was going to do and all this kind of stuff. I am having to fight for it. I mean, and it's not even where it's just, I don't want to do it. I'm forgetting. And so the micro commitments are going on the schedule of tasks to do with the little check boxes, just like everything else, because it does me no justice. And if you're doing it, it does you no justice to let those little foxes come in and spoil the vine, to steal away your thunder, steal away your ability to be the better version of yourself as we continue on to do this. And so I'm going to fight for it. I am actually going to put down some of the stuff that I thought I actually had, mastered. Like, I know this. And I didn't even realize it. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to do this. I mean, it literally was not there. And so what I've been doing is I have been making out, and I mentioned this before. So instead of having a schedule for the time of day, because I work for myself and different little things happen and I might be engrossed in something and or whatever, I usually tend to do it by a certain number of hours. So like, I know for me, I am going to be doing what I do for about 16 hours and trying to get some sleep and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm now going to do is I'm also going to have a column where I put in my micro commitments for when I go to the bathroom or, getting those steps in and when I got them in, so I can actually start to look at that. Now, I'm not trying to get bogged down on doing a lot of administrative tracking, and it doesn't take very long. That's why I'm keeping it as loose as I am, so that I know there are certain things that I have to do. And for me, I try to keep that list at no more than 6 things that I must do in a given day. So it's been different in that going through this and being cognizant of the fact that I am determined to actually put in new brain synapses, new dents in the brain of the way my brain functions. The myriad of emotions, the myriad of occurrences that happen has been quite phenomenal. I talked about feedback and vision yesterday, and today it's really on my mind to the forefront. I guess maybe that's why I forgot to do my little micro commitments. And don't worry, I caught up. I did. I caught myself, and I doubled up a few times to catch up with my squats and my planks and that kind of stuff. But today I've been really cognizant of focus on the vision and priority, and so I noticed that some things that normally will take me off my game have been coming up. Today I was going to talk about time, it's the biggest resource, and I was like, you know what? I'll talk about that later, because this is about me being vulnerably truthful, open, and hopefully something I'm saying is helping you as well as you're endeavoring to do your process. Because I don't know about you, but for me, this is not something easy to just say, oh, I'm going to change who I am, from a molecular level. No, it takes some time. And that's why I'm even thinking of this as my preparation month, giving myself time to flub it up, miss the mark, and go through all the different little frustrations and things that happen, so that by the time I'm hitting January, God willing, prayerfully seeing that, not taking anything for granted, but grateful and hoping that I do, I can hit the ground running to do what I want to do, to have the level and quality of life and existence that I dare dream to have, So when I'm talking about fight for it, I am talking about not fighting an aggression towards myself of beating myself up for it. No, I'm talking about being humble enough to say, you thought you had the little micro commitments down. You got to fight for it. I'm also noticing, and this is something that I don't know if you're working with trying to do your eating. But I am noticing that I have patterns, boy. I have patterns. And during the winter seasons, I tend to like a lot of comfort foods, a lot of like yum, 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 yum. When I get cold, I'm like, I want to eat. I wanted this. I wanted that. And I was like, oh my freaking gosh. And so I'm even having to fight for that. So what I've done is, in the summertime, I was down to one grazing meal, like during a couple of hours. So I do intermittent fasting, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. And a lot of people call it IF. And the intermittent fasting is also, I do it on a keto regimen, meaning that I don't have sugars, refined carbs, and then the carbs I do have are very healthy from healthy green cruciferous vegetables, and I only do berries for my fruits. So with that, I was like, oh my gosh, why am I getting so hungry? Why am I, whatever. And so I had to realize that I got to fight for that too. One of the things I think that was really powerful for me was a simple little diagnostic you can use to see if it's hunger or if it's emotional eating. And so hunger is a gradual. It will come, your stomach will growl, it'll be okay. Then it'll come again a little longer, growl, or whatever. And this is even after you've drank water and all that. Emotional hunger is sudden. It comes on you suddenly, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. And 10 times out of 10, just being honest and evaluating, it's emotional for me. I'm not hungry. It's emotional. And I'm like, well, why? What is going on? Now, I'm not really versed on a lot of, retrogrades and astrology and all that, and I'm pretty sure somebody watching this probably is. But I do have to realize something, and that is winter solstice is coming. And winter solstice is the longest night of the year on December 21st. And being 9 days away from that and understanding that everything is connected, I am not saying I have the answer, but I am wondering if in some kind of way I am experiencing the the dark night of the soul, the existential dark night of the soul, the longest night, if you will. And what that means, I know already that I am a nighttime eater. Always have been. My circadian rhythms are, I'm a nighttime person. And so my greatest hunger comes later. And I mean, if all I had to do was make it through daytime, I'd be good, because I don't even naturally start getting hungry until later in the day towards the evening. But then I thought of it. I was like, winter solstice is coming. It's the longest night of the year. And I know, because of looking into, as much as possible to help me become a more peak performer, I have to take all things into consideration. So that's one thing that I'm putting on the back burner to see, does that really affect me? Is that triggering, my emotional, need? Now, I will say this, because one of my siblings reminded me, as you can see, I am like rocking sweats and stuff because I'm cold. And this is something new too. So one of my siblings was like, you're hungry because you're cold and you're skinny. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not skinny, but they had me laughing, and they were like, you need to feed yourself. And so what I have done, all that I said was, now I'm doing 2 meals, and I'm doing it like in a 6 hour, no, actually it's an 8 hour window, but it normally for me, it's usually about 6, because all I'm really doing is taking the stuff I was eating and then splitting it into 2, to make sure I get my caloric intake and all of that. So it's helping a little bit, but that's one of the things that I'm really fighting for too, and monitoring as well. And the reason why is because it's like my body is like, it wants to slow down. It wants to go in cocoon. It is harder. It takes more mental authority for me to make sure I get my steps in and move my body every day, like forgetting to do my little micro commitments. I haven't had that happen. And now I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's what I'm talking about. Fight for it. Now, what does this mean for you? Because, hey, it's one thing. Thank you, for listening to my crap. But let's talk about, maybe some things for you. So what I want you to do is I want you to look for those things that are so easy to slip away. It may be, like me, it may be your body wanting to put you in a hibernation mode, wanting you to cocoon and eat, sending you hunger signals when it's emotional, or something like that. And just before I forget, now that I've noticed and used my diagnostic to understand that this is emotional, I've been journaling, because that's one of the fastest ways to be able to dig down in the subconscious. That's how I even realized that I might want to look at just the orientation of the physical planet, and where we are in our calendar year. And so when I talk about fighting for it, it's not just the goals that you said you were going to do. It's the habits, the tendencies, and all of that. I'm going to talk about time and how it is a most precious thing we have. But today I was like, you know what? Just little things happening. So I'm very grateful for going through this process, because I am rediscovering a lot about myself, a lot about the human experience of building expertise, of building peak performance, of going through it. And I'm gonna tell you, I don't even want to say a newfound respect. I have an elevated respect for people who day in and day out are at the top, the peak, whether it be athletes, scientists, people who do things on a consistent basis. Hats off to you. You deserve it, because this is hard. And I'm not going to even lie, this is hard. So with that being said, just to recap, when I talk about fighting for it, I am talking about look at the stuff that you take for granted that you're slipping on. And if you find yourself wanting or lacking, put it on your schedule. What gets scheduled gets done. And that way, even if I happen to forget, again, when I look at my daily schedule and I don't see tick marks, and I know I've been going to the bathroom, I know I've been getting my water in or whatever, I am going to be reminded that needs to be done. So it won't slide away. It won't be a week and I'll be like, oh my gosh, what happened to my micro commitments? So once you start looking at the things that you take for granted that you already know to do, that you've been doing, and you find that those things, then move on to the stuff that is part of your commitment or your contract to yourself that you know you need to get done. So like today, for me, it's all about getting those words in. And I'm going to tell you, rebuilding that muscle of focus and concentration to get those words in. I'm fighting for it, but I will prevail and I will be victorious. And so that's another thing. So doing that. Also, staying prioritized, not letting the little things throw you off. For me, phone. Been on the phone a little too much this week, and thus I have been eating into my sleep time to make sure I hit my goals when I should have just been like, I gotta go, and be more cognizant of that. So that's another thing I'm going to be starting now that I'm going to be monitoring, is how much time I am on the phone, the little time stealers. But I'll talk a little bit more about that when I talk about protecting your time. All right. So thank you guys so much. This is amazing. We're on day 12, 18 more days to go. Yes. And guess what? I'm going to see you tomorrow. So if you want to join the group, link is in the description. If you say, Michelle, I really like what you're doing and you want to sponsor, link is in the description. Get sponsored as a little bit as $1. And you know what? It is not necessarily about me saying, oh, help me. No, it is about me understanding that everything is connected. And when you join in and help and support, you plant seeds that come back and bless you. So this is an opportunity for us to be blessings for each other, because you never know who you might be able to help with me being able to continue to take time out of my day to not just be working, but to be able to give content and give value to others with your help and your support. Okay? So I'm going to see you tomorrow. I'll see you in the room, and you guys have a wonderful day. And don't forget, you got to fight for it. Fight for it. Fight for it. Okay? All right. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.